All right, welcome back. Okay, so for our first speaker, we have Dan Ho. Like I said, he's an award-winning realtor. Now, Dan, it's really interesting, how you actually go from HDB to landed property in just 6 years. And maybe you could just share with us a little bit about what's got you started in your real estate journey.
Thank you, Lionel, for having me here. Very excited to share my story with Next Level Conference audience. So, it all started about 15 years ago in 2009. We just chanced upon a show flat that is selling houses in Singapore. Back then, we wasn't really in the market. I have zero knowledge about the real estate industry, but I was curious, and we just visited the show flat, and they quoted us a price to buy the property. It was 1.814 million. I still remember very clearly. So we went back and we did all our financial calculations and realized we can afford it if we just throw everything in. Back then, there wasn't so much rules and regulations. Borrowing was very easy. You can get guarantors in to help you and stuff like that. So, but we were distracted. We were given some alternate advice, and we were told that this is not a good purchase by our friends and families. So, so we didn't proceed. But we went overseas, so posted overseas for a couple of years. We came back in 2012. We drove past the same estate again, and this time around, technology has improved. So now we have iPhones. So we started Googling the price of the same property that we were intended to purchase two years back. And guess what? The price now became $3.3 million.
Wow.
Straight from the developers. So
literally that was like a close to $1.5 million worth of profits that you did not manage to gain.
Yes.
Wow.
So my heart really sank. I couldn't sleep for the next few days. And it really jolted me awake. I would say it was my inflection point. I started learning feverishly about the industry. I started Googling the top 10 wealthiest person in Singapore. And guess what? 8 out of 10 of them are all in real estate.
Wow.
So I realized I was in the wrong trade. we need to be in an industry where we are able to secure our future and have huge profits. So that was one great missed opportunity. So I asked myself, let's look at the industry again and let's find the next opportunity. I'm very fortunate that I managed to find a few more opportunities for myself and for my clients. We managed to achieve 7 figures net profit after all the deductions. Wow. and managed to flip several of our properties. The only downside of that is you pay hundreds of thousands of tax to the government.
As compared to what could have been in the past, but then still so many investment opportunities even till today, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
We can talk about it later on regarding that. But before that, I also want to ask Meng Yao, what made you get started in your own investing as well as trading journey as well? Because it has been 25 years. How has it been?
Before I say that, I want to congratulate Dan, right? He's going to be a top 10 most richest man in Singapore.
Very soon.
Because he's modeling after those people.
Yes.
Right? So for myself, right, actually, I started reading about all the stocks market when I was very young. I was very intrigued by the stock market, even in my secondary school days, all right? But I didn't really dabble into it. Only now my son is about, 22, 23 years old. I remember I started 1 or 2 years before he was born. My first course was actually a option trading course. Least to say, they just teach about strategies and then they didn't teach you how to enter the market and whatever, not lost a fair sum of money. But I also continue investing with my CPF and whatever not. Studying, going deep into what unit trusts are making money and what unit trusts are performing, just using a very simple historical calculations. I managed to double my CPF at that point of time, which allowed me to upgrade my houses over the years. What interests me was the mathematical side of things, all right? I like to see how I can not beat the market, but how I can benefit from the market. So over the years, I've attended courses. I've went to US to learn about candlesticks from the writer himself, paid thousands of dollars, and realized that technical analysis is not everything. I also paid that was close to about $30,000 US to learn from some retired hedge fund managers and also investment bankers. That's why I realized that there could be a combination of strategy that can benefit the market. All right. So whether the market is going up, going down, or going sideways, it doesn't matter. Because when the strategy is correct, then the market fluctuation will not affect you too much. All right. But rather your analysis of individual stocks become important.
Wow, Meng, I remember that you have a very interesting approach, to investment, and you use this word hedging. Yes. So would you kindly explain to our audience what hedging really means?
Hedging, basically, if you Google or check the dictionary, means you are trying to protect your downside risk. Okay, so but in hedging in investment, what the investment banker are doing, so what the BlackRocks, for example, or George Soros, or for example, the people who are using this strategy, they use hedging. They buy a long short. They enter a long position and short position together to make sure that they will benefit from both the long side of the story and the short side of the story. So when you are convicted in selecting certain stocks, you need to know why the stocks are going long, why the stocks are rising over the months, over the years. Or when you're shorting the stocks, why are you shorting the stocks? The reason and the story behind such trades become very important.
So it's very important that you know your game plan, right?
Yes,
there are
correct.
so many strategies out there, but if you anyhow use it, that's when it becomes dangerous because you don't understand what you're doing.
Correct.
And that's why before that, every single thing must be planned out. So maybe we can also ask Dan, in terms of in your opinion, right? Like for any person to get started in their property investment journey, what kind of plan they must go through in order to really have a successful purchase and a successful profit?
That's a very interesting question because in Singapore, the real estate market is very segmented. And many of us are very influenced by popular theories or popular strategies that's going on in the market. But however, the same strategy does not apply to every single person. Just last night I was sorry, excuse me. Last night I was being asked, Singapore, we have this new scheme called the PLH, Prime Land Housing. And it's very attractive to a lot of first-time buyers because it's public housing in very prime location. However, it comes with a lot of rules and restrictions and regulations. But a lot of young people are looking at that. And I personally, my own opinion, I don't really like this scheme because it takes away the best years of our youth and it locks you down in something that will not give you multiple rounds of returns. So one key strategy in Singapore is you need to be a rolling stone because a rolling stone gathers no moss. So you need to keep flipping and keep changing and keep upgrading in order to realize these profits as soon as possible. Because what happens is I've noticed a lot of clients who did not apply this strategy. I used to be the same. Okay, let's buy something we can afford and just pay for it. Next time it will become better. That's not true. At the 15 to 17 year mark, that's where you start to see negative sale. That's where all the interests start to catch up with you. Your CPF accrued interest start to catch up with you, and you don't get the profit in the market. And when it's time for them to upgrade or sell, and they look for us, when I look at the numbers, it's always oh no. So it is my mission now to prevent these tragedies from happening over and over again, because it's really sad, and their dreams are all dashed. You say, hey, what do you mean I don't get sales proceed after I sell, even though the market is up, there is profit, but I've been holding this for too long.
Actually, like nowadays, I've always seen like ads. I think some of our audience also see as well, for young couples, after they buy a HDB and then after 5 years, they can sell, right? I mean, depending on where they buy their housing flat, right? Because nowadays the ruling has changed.
10 years.
Now some are 10 years. Now for some of these young couples, they are advised, to sell off their HDB, right, after the 5 or 10 years, to go and buy 2 condos. Like, is it a good strategy? Like, what's your take on that?
It used to be good 5 to 7 years ago when it is a little more affordable to do that. This strategy is actually prime for somebody in their middle age, where you're in the 30s or early 40s, you have a good income, and you are looking to secure a second piece of asset that your tenant will continue to help you pay after you retire. It becomes a passive income. it is definitely not something that a very young starting up couple should look at. Mm.
I see.
Can I address the question that you are talking about just now regarding risk? I think the saying goes on, information is power, but little information is very dangerous. Right? You know how to start a car, you know how to drive a car, but if you don't know the traffic rules, that is a danger on the road, all right? But if you know the traffic rules, you know how the system to follow, then you know you can drive very safely. So that's an analogy I have when you say that. How do you define risk in this manner, right?
Yeah. So maybe can you also share with us exactly in terms of your investment and trading strategies, is there any way that you can do to minimize your risk at the same time still can profit consistently regardless of the market direction?
By the word hedging itself, the risk is actually minimized. All right. The strategy is basically you take a long short pair of trades together to minimize market fluctuation, to minimize economic fluctuations and news and country situations. All right. So your research is basically based on the stock's performance. So you cut out the risk from fluctuation from economic news. For example, there's a recent downturn last year. All right. People are still making money. Why? Why are the investors still, bankers still coming back at 20-30% returns on a yearly basis? Right? Because they're measured on the quarterly basis. If you are not there, you're out. So they're pretty cutthroat industry there.
So in the real estate industry is also the same. I've noticed in my past decade of investing myself, no matter how the overall market is performing, be it upside or downside, there's always winners and there's always losers. So you need to have the right strategy. You need to know what factors to analyze in order to choose the right product to enter the market and stay in the market long enough and have a good exit strategy and know signs of the exit and to exit with profit.
I'm very keen to find out about, since you talk about exit, right? I want to also ask both of you, in terms of the exit, what is exactly is the timeline that usually you guys are looking at for your own trades as well as for your property investment for your clients as well? What is the timeline? Maybe I get Dan to share first. Yeah.
It really depends. So my record was I exited in 2 years and I have to pay 12% ABS SSD to the government, which amounts to 280 over 1,000 in taxes. The biggest check I've ever written to IRAS.
Wow.
But it was an opportunity, and we spotted the market. The market moved very quickly, and it was a chance for us. So you can't say no to that. So typically, right now, it's between 3 to 5 years. You can exit.
So I think our audience will want to know, right? You wrote that huge check, but how much do you got back in return? I think
Yeah.
because
The
it's not about how much
ROI, right?
ROI. It's not about how much you are actually paying, but how much you actually get back that makes it all worthwhile. So then, would you kindly share with us?
So we made about $1.8 million in that particular deal. So
That's after tax.
gross. So
Gross.
we have to take away all the taxes and things like that.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you see, now, if we just mentioned paying $200,000, it may seem like a lot of money, yes or no? But the moment when you know how much you're getting back, that's, hey, it's just spare change, yes or no?
It all comes with perspective.
It's still very
Paying the
painful.
200,000
It's still really
Very
painful.
painful.
paying the 200,000 happily.
How about for Meng Yang? Like in terms of your trade horizon, right? How long does it take for you to decide to enter and then eventually exit that trade?
Actually, that's a very important question, right? You know, once you enter the trade, you need to have convictions, right? Minimum trade is at least 3 months, right? So how long is when the conviction finished? When you know that the stock is not performing, should not be a long position anymore because of certain news, certain decision they have made, all right, or certain market situation. Then you have to exit the stocks. It could be minimum 3 months, it could be 6 months, it could be 9 months, it could even be 12 months. All right. If the stock is running high, there's no reason for you to quit actually. Why you want to do that? Like what Mary Buffett said last night, right? Don't do the stupid things, right? So that somebody else will benefit from your stupidity.
That's true. So that's why when you enter your trade, you also look deeper into the company performance. Is this a good company? You use value investing combined with certain trading strategies as well. I see.
So I have a question for both Meng Yang as well as Dan, right? Like for property investment, what I want to know is what are the qualities that you see in a property that makes you decide that this is something worth buying or something that I can see that there's potential. And also for Meng Yang, when it comes to picking a stock, what are the things do you look at? Do you look at both fundamentals or technical? So what are the things that you guys look at before you make the purchase? So maybe Meng Yang can answer this first.
Thanks for letting me take this question. First, okay, fundamental analysis is very important, all right? That is the main criteria, 60 to 70%, all right? For both the long position and for the short position, fundamentals are very, very important. And then we don't really time the market, but we try to find a timing which is better for entry.
See, so for fundamentals, is basically looking into the company's history, what business they are doing. So this is what Meng Yang is actually talking about. All right, then what about Dan?
So for real estate, the scope is very wide. The first thing I will look at is the macro environment. How is the index doing? Then I will zoom in into the micro environment. How is this particular development, or how is this particular project or this particular land or house doing as compared to its neighbors? What is the growth story that you might have in the future? Is it being neglected at the moment, and does it has potential? So we have a huge checklist with many pointers, and we start to analyze it using this checklist. And the particular property that ticks most of this box means highest potential. So my keyword and my success is always looking for undervalued and neglected properties with potential to grow.
Wow, actually, this philosophy is also very similar to what Warren Buffett does, right? He always look out for a very, very good buy when it's undervalued, and then he doesn't like to chase after hype stocks. He only want to invest in stocks that are not in the limelight, because that's where the bargains usually lie. So I'm also very curious to find out. I think the audience are also very curious. Like, if they just started out, right, what should they start doing in order to maybe buy their first property in Singapore successfully, and then start to trade successfully and consistently as well? Maybe I get,
So I look back at my own success. I look back at what I did. The first thing I did was to study feverishly about the market. So I took up every single property-related courses there is available in the market. And I talked to a lot of people, and I talked to successful investors and listened to their success stories and try to pick up things that apply to my lifestyle. So I think before you enter into any investments or enter into any big project, you need to learn and be good at it.
Now, what I really like about what Dan mentioned, right? Especially when you're entering into any new industry, whether is it investing or trading, it's very important to know who are the successful people in that niche, and what you want to do is you want to model after them, right? And you want to get yourself educated. So that's a key thing. So yeah, what about Meng Yang?
Okay, over and above what I said just now, right? Choosing stocks and all those things, we also need to understand the news in the market, right? But actually, for people who are starting out, they don't know where to find these news. That's where the biggest problem is, all right? For property, it's the same. For investment or stock market, it's the same. But there are news out there which is very important. But you are fluctuated with, if not fluctuated, you are flooded with all different kind of news. What do you know from all this news? How do you decipher what is the right news that will benefit your trades or your investment, the position you are taking? So it's, you definitely need some education when you are starting out. That's for sure. Like what I say, little information is very dangerous.
Yes. So apart from educating yourself, it's also important to learn from a mentor. Would you advise the audience to do that as well? That because if you don't have experience, the best place to get is from someone who has been through what you want to go through and actually benefit from that experience. So that's why learning from a mentor is so beneficial, right?
Yeah, it literally
Totally agree.
journey to success as well.
By the way, I think we have some questions. Now, since we have time, maybe we'll just pick out one question for Dan as well as Meng Yang. So if you have any questions for them, now we have some time, just answer your question. I think we miss out some questions. So if you have any questions right now, you can just ask right now, and then we'll just get them to answer. Okay, so someone, PV asks, outside Sentosa, can foreigner apply for permission to buy?
Oh yes, so LDAU does approves foreigners to purchase landed properties. However, the requirement is quite strict. You need to be somebody of a good standing. So yeah, there is this route possible.
All right, so if let's say our audience, they want to know more about property investment and to find out more how they can grow their wealth, how can they contact you? Or do you have a program that you would like to introduce to the audience?
So I've just started a Telegram group. It has a very sexy name. It's called Singapore Real Estate Intelligence.
Oh.
So I'm going to feed everybody with analysis, with reports, with sharing some of my strategies and tips for real estate investing in this channel. There's a link up there. You can feel free to join us.
That's so cool. In fact, I think another student, Donald, is also asking, oh, where can they get news? Just nice.
That's nice. Yeah,
Your
yeah.
Telegram. Then how about for Meng Yang? Where else can they actually learn, like which channel can they learn from you?
Well, similar to Dan, where I've started a channel, all right. But in the channel, I also have a book which is I just finished writing, all right, about risk. Okay? So within that book itself, you can look at the different risks that will affect the market, how it affect your investment, and how you can actually leverage this risk to reduce your potential losses. So
Right.
you can download from my channel.
Right, awesome. So guys, if you want to learn how to hedge the market, how to beat the win against the system, to protect your downside but increase your upside, then please do join Meng Yang's channel as well.
Yeah, and I totally agree with what both speakers said, right? The most important thing is to really try to minimize your risk. But how can we minimize your risk? Is really educate yourself. Because when you do so, you really cut short a lot of learning time,
Yes.
right? And then you can avoid as many mistakes as possible and head straight to the success, right? I think that's most important, right? So without further ado, can everybody type CCC for both Dan and Meng Yang for such amazing and wonderful insights, all right? I think the audience
Thank you
will
for
really
saying
appreciate that.
Thank you for having us,
Thank
all
you.
right.
Thank you.
Really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
So our next speaker is also coming up very soon. He is somebody truly transformational. Why do I say that? Because I still remember back in COVID, right, when so many businesses closed down, but he is the person that literally transformed the next level. I think Sean he also think that wow, he's so fortunate to be able to hire him and find him to lead him into our company, because he literally turned our company from $1 million to $17 million.
Wow, that's a
during
huge jump.
the period of COVID. That's super amazing. So, and on top of that, I think his surname is also quite interesting. His surname is Yang.
Wow.
And when you look at him, I think he really looked very young. But he's already approaching 40 years old. Maybe later on when he comes on, you type it in the chat and you guess what is the actual, image, what kind of age does he look like? But actually he's already 40 years old already. So without further ado, let's also invite our co-CEO of Next Level, Zachary Yang, to be up, and he's going to show you how can you scale your business fast. And in fact, how can you 10x your business? So step by step, so let's welcome Zachary Yang.